Shalom, 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 shalom to all of you, my heavenly Father Yahawah's children, scattered to the four corners of the earth. Today I have a real good one. A real good one for you. I got a good one for you today. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. So we're going to be talking about the abstract versus the concrete, and the concrete being the Hebrew thought process, which is it's something that you have to get used to because we have learned from a westernized perspective, and the westernized perspective is based on Roman Greco concepts, okay, which the Roman Greco concepts are abstract, okay, in origin, right? It's philosophical, all of these different things, right? Which we know that those who are in this awakening, we have nothing to do with abstract concepts, right? So now I'm making this lesson for the purpose of, edification. This is not an attack on anyone. This is to build your knowledge, to build your understanding, so you can so you can boast in the fact that you know who the Most High is for sure, right? Now, I recently was talking to someone from another belief system. I'm not going to name that belief system, but what I will say is, the concept and the theological differences are dramatic. Is drastic. Um, from what the faith system that this person believes in, they believe that the Most High, or what they call, I'm not going to use the name that they use just yet because I don't want to give it away, but the what they call the Most High is uh he has no being, he has no person, right? He's just formless, and to their knowledge, it isn't even he isn't even a he. Okay, they're saying, we're only using he for, whatever, but that does not bypass the fact, right? So the concept of concrete, something being concrete, relates back to five senses, okay? Taste, touch, hear, smell, see, okay? And those five senses are the very DNA of the Hebrew language, right? What we know as ancient Hebrew, not the Israeli, okay? We're not talking about Bibi Netanyahu. We're not talking about Yair Netanyahu. None of those people who are claiming descent who are not. Revelation 2939, right? So now, we got to understand that we have to separate these things, right? We have to separate concrete from abstract. And we have to understand the scriptures in the way that they were meant to be understood, okay? Everything relates back to the five senses, okay? So I want to go all the way back to the beginning of the book, right? And I want to start and I want to open with Exodus chapter 3, verse 14 and 15, okay? 14 and 15 specifically give us a clear idea of who this being is, right? So it says, then Yahawah, yeah, it says Yahawah. Then Yahawah said to Masha, who they call Moses, right? It says, I am who I am. And he said, this is what you are to say to the children of Yasharal, or, in the Israeli, Israel, right? Yahawah has sent me to you. Yahawah also said to Masha, this you shall also say to the children of Yasharal. Yahawah, the heavenly Father of your fathers. Stop. Did he say God? Did he say Lord? No. I don't think he did, because we can go to the Hebrew interlinear and that name is there. So if that name is there in the Hebrew, then where did the implementation of God and Lord and all these other titles come from? Huh. Makes you wonder, right? Now let's keep going. And he said, Yahawah, the heavenly father of your fathers, the mighty one of Abraham, the mighty one of Isaac, the mighty one of Jacob has sent me to you. There's a period at the end of that sentence, and then we go into another statement. Okay? The next statement he makes is important because he said, this is my name forever. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So this means people are in trouble. Because if he said this is his name forever, then why are we calling on anything other than this name? This is the name that he revealed to our ancestors even before Moses. Because he wasn't asking this question as if the Israelites didn't know the name of the Father. No, they knew. They just wanted confirmation that it was from him. So this is the confirmation being given. Then he says what? Let's see what Yahawah says, and let's continue what he says. He says, this is my name forever, and this is my memorial. What is a memorial? Let's welcome the thought of a memorial. A memorial is something to build upon, something to get you to remember that something. So if there is a memorial that this name is based on, that means this name is a pillar. Its name is a pillar. So if this name is a pillar and a memorial, which is a monument, come on now. Then he says what? The name by which I'm to be remembered by from generation to generation for all generations. So when we come along and say, you know what, I'm not going to use that name, I'm going to call him what I want to call him. I'm going to call him Hublagaba. You are now in error. Sounds harsh, but it's true. See, the truth is not respective of a person's feelings, okay? The truth cares not about your feelings. So if you are offended at this, you might want to click off of this video before we go any further. Because this is going to trigger a lot of people. And is only meant to trigger you to get your mind to start working the way it should work when we're thinking about these types of things, okay? Then he says from generation to generation for all generations, okay? Okay. So now let's go over and let's look at some of the words of the Messiah, right? Because, you know, the claim of the Most High being a formless entity by one or more religions is false. And we can clearly see through that when we read the text for ourselves and do the proper studying by not just being on the surface as in the scriptures themselves, but actually to look behind the scriptures and go to the actual language the scriptures are written in, okay? So let's look at some of the words of the Messiah. This is Matthew chapter 5, where we start at the Beatitudes. So Beatitudes mean let this be your attitude, okay? It says, now seeing the multitudes, he went up on a high mountain and sat down. Now my question is, why did he go up on a high mountain? Because the custom of the ancient East, deities were worshipped on high mountains. So him sitting on this high mountain is symbology to something. Pay attention. And he sat down. His disciples came to him. And then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, enduring hardship and being humble, for theirs is the kingdom of Yahawah. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And we're going to break that specific part down, verse 5. We're going to come back to that. But I need you to see something first before we go back, right? Then it says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see Yahawah. Okay. So he's saying they will see them. Is this going to be in a vision, or is this physical? Is this seeing of Yahawah physical, or is it spiritual? Because when we understand Hebrew, this is a sense. This is one of the five senses. So you use your five senses to relate to this physical world. Am I not correct? Let's continue. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of Yahawah. Okay, stop. Now, from what I was extracting by picking the brain of this person from this other belief system, they said that the Most High has ascended gender. Has ascended gender. But right here it's saying that Yahawah has sons. So if Yahawah has sons, then that would make him a he in Hebrew thought, because something that has no form, okay? Now I'm saying this from a Hebraic school of thought. Something that has no form, has no function, it does not exist. Let me dial that back and say that again. If something has no form and has no function, it exists not. It doesn't exist. So to say that this being has no form and is just some formless entity just floating around, that negates everything that's being said here. Because why would the Messiah use the word see? This is relating to a five sense, to one of the five senses that we use to navigate this world, right? You said, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of Yahawah. Blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for your reward is in heaven. For in the same manner they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Okay. So now let's go and look at some interesting excerpts from the Messiah, and let's go and see what he's talking about in Yahawah, which they call John in English, right? Yahawah, the Messiah says this, and I find this very interesting. I find this very interesting. And I'm gonna tell you soon what this belief system is. We're gonna get there. I'm gonna give it to you. But first I wanna set the mold. Okay. It says it is the spirit that gives life. Okay? The flesh is useless. The laws which I speak to you, they are spirit, and they are everlasting life. But there are some of you who do not believe. Now Yahawah Shah knew from the beginning those who, those, wait, knew from the beginning who those were who did not believe. Excuse me. And would betray him. And he said, this is why I said, no man can come to me unless it has been granted to him by my Father. So, in this other belief system, they believe that he is the Messiah. They believe that he was a prophet. Okay? But this claim here that he's making and what he's saying here, this goes against their belief system. So either he was a prophet or he wasn't. Either he was a true prophet or a false prophet, which I believe the latter. I believe he was a true prophet. He wasn't just a prophet. He was more than that. And when you start going over the text, you get to see little things pop out at you that get you to understand his person, which Mashayak, Yahawah Shah, Hamashayak is not a Lord or a God. I just want to clarify that. I want to clarify that because those are terms of confusion. Those are terms of deception. Those terms never belonged in the text in the first place. Those terms came from the result of worshiping the Canaanite deities we had came in contact with when we entered the land of Canaan. Okay? So it's very important that we understand these key principles. These are key principles. Okay? Then it says, here in 66, the Messiah states this. He says, well, let me go back. In 65, he states this. He said, this is why I said to you, no man can come to me unless it has been granted to him by my Father. At this, many of his disciples turned away and no longer walked with him. And I feel like that has happened in real time. Because there are people who say that, well, yeah, we believe he's the Messiah. Well, yeah, we believe he did walk this earth, but he did not die. He wasn't crucified. He wasn't hung on a tree. And he definitely wasn't the Son of the Most High. I gave you a huge hint of what this religious system is, okay, what this other belief system is, okay. But I also want to turn your attention to something that the apostle said, okay. This is who you call or know as Paul, okay. And in the ancient Hebrew, his name is Shawwal, right? And Shawwal, or who you may know as Paul, said a series of things that I find very, very interesting. He says, this is in Ephesians chapter 2. This is verse 2. In which you walked in time past according to the course of this world, according to the prince and power of the air, the God that is now at work in the children of disobedience. What is Elah in Arabic? I hope you see where I'm going with this. What is Elah? What is Elah in Arabic? Elah means the God. But I find that very interesting that Shawwal is saying Ha'al. Wait, whoa, stop. He said Ha'al, or in Israeli, El. But he said the God that is now at work in the children of disobedience. But Elah in Arabic means the God. And that kind of goes back to what Shawwal said in another verse when he said that he noticed in the scripture where it says the unknown God. Yahawah was known to our fathers. So I don't know who this unknown God is, or do I? Allah is halal, which equals Hashatan. Allah, halal. This is the name of the Arabic God. This is the name of the devil in Hebrew. Okay. This is the devil. You can't see it. You don't see it. And it's funny because Allah and halal literally have the same letters. Just like if we take Santa, we can switch the letters around and we get Satan. Aleister Crowley said evil has to be in front of you and you have to consent to your deception. And a lot of people are consenting to this deception. Now let's keep going. Let's keep going because we getting somewhere. Now, Shawwal says this. He says this is in a later verse. This is in chapter 3, verse 5. We're going to start at verse 5 for context. And we're going to go down, right? And he says what? Actually, you know what? Let's go back up. Let's start at the beginning of chapter 3. Because we want to see really what he's talking about. It says, for this reason I, Shawwal, am the prisoner of Yahawah Shah HaMashiach for you, the northern kingdom, that you should hear the dispensation of the ministry and administration of the plan to receive Yahweh's undeserved pardon, which was given to me for you, that by revelation, the unveiling and uncovering of truths. Stop. Isn't this an unveiling? Isn't this an uncovering of truth? Then he says what? He made known to me this great secret, which I wrote of previously in a few words, by which you read, you may understand my knowledge. By which, when you read, you may understand my knowledge in the deep mystery of Mashiach. Why is it a mystery? Why is it a mystery? So this means this man knew something that other people did not know. And this, I believe, is why he clashed with the other apostles a lot. Until they realized, like, wait a minute, hold on. He ain't saying nothing different than what we've been saying. He's just coming at it from a whole different perspective, a whole different angle. But nonetheless, he's saying the same thing we're saying. Do we agree with everything he's saying? Not necessarily, because we can't fully understand everything he's saying. Just like the disciples couldn't fully understand everything the Messiah was saying. Let's continue what Shawwal is saying. It says, which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations. The sons of men. Is he talking about the heathen nations? I think so. which have not been made known to the sons of men in other generations, as it is received, as it is revealed to his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit, that the northern kingdom are joint heirs and members joined in the body and joint partakers of the promise in Yahawah HaMashiach, proclaimed by this message. He said it. I ain't say it. He said it. He said proclaimed by this message. But also, I find it interesting that he said, let him who comes with another message, let him be accursed. Whether it's some angel from heaven, or one of the prophets, apostles, anybody come teaching a different message than what we just read, he said, let him be what? Accursed. So if I'm not mistaken, a man did come with another message contrary to what we have here. And the message of that man literally undoes what was before him. It undoes Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, the prophets, the messages of the apostles. It undoes everything. Gotta see it. What does Shawwal say? Let's go back. Let's go to another segment of his speeches. Let's go to another segment in his arsenal, right? I call this an arsenal. Bang bang. Because he's firing shots. And people don't understand who he's firing shots at. He's firing shots at something and a system of something. Let's look at it. This is 1 Timothy chapter 4, starting at the beginning of chapter 4. Matter of fact, we're going to even read the heading. The heading says, in the latter times. It says, now the Spirit speaks very plainly that in the latter times, some will depart from the faith. Some will depart from the faith. What does this mean? Let's see. Giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of Allahayam. Uh-oh. I hope you heard that. I hope you heard that. It says what? Speaking. Let's go back. Now, the Spirit speaks very plainly that in the latter times, some will depart from the faith. The faith of what? The faith of who? The faith in Mashiach, the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the faith that all of the righteous ancestors looked for and they practiced looking for and looking toward Mashiach. So that was their hope. So you mean to tell me that this belief system comes and undoes the hope of our ancestors? Come on, bro. You can't honestly believe that. Now watch this. It says, now the Spirit speaks very plainly that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of Yahawah, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from instruction which Yahawah created to be received with thanksgiving by the believers, by those who fully, not partly, know the truth. What is verse 3 talking about? Verse 3 is talking about what every popular teacher in this awakening is teaching, that there is no such thing as polygyny or polygamy in the scriptures, that the Most High never consented to such a thing, but it's written in Deuteronomy. You cannot make that make sense, bro. Then you have to understand what the ancient Near East concept of a concubine is. Right? But we're not going to go there today. We're going to continue where we're at. Right? We're going to continue on the base of the conversation and topic that we're at. So let's go look at some more of Shawwal's writings. This is the same chapter, chapter 4, starting at verse 11. He says, command and teach these things. What? Teach these things? What are these things he's talking about? Command and teach these things. Let no man despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in word, conduct, love, and spirit, in faith and purity. Until I come, give attention to reading, exhortation, and to the teachings. The teachings of who? Whose teachings are we supposed to go off of? We're supposed to go off the teachings of the Messiah. If the Messiah ain't teach it, we don't want to learn it. If it did not come from the words of the Messiah, if it did not come from the very mouth of Mashiach, we don't want to hear that. Because now you're bringing in doctrines of devils, which is Alahayam. Yeah. You know why? You know why I say that? Because this dictionary right here, many other Bible dictionaries, lexicons, and encyclopedias show you that the word God is a generic term, and that was a popular term used in the ancient Near East, or I say the ancient East. Let's go to it. So you can see I'm not just pulling your leg. I'm not just pulling your leg. This is a real thing, okay? And it literally, it's funny to me that it's not being talked about. This thing is not being talked about in the awakening. It's not being talked about at all. So let's go to the names and titles of God, okay? This is an entry in this same book. This is Wycliffe Bible Dictionary, okay? This is an old book. It's hard to find. When I got this book, it was the last one. And I praise Yah that I was able to get my hand on this, because I had the same book when I was studying incarceration. And this book enlightened me to a lot of information that I did not know before, stuck in Christianity. Well, not stuck in Christianity because I physically left Christianity at 16, but being stuck in the doctrinal practices of Christianity, okay? So now watch this. Watch what it says. Please pay attention. Open your spiritual ears. Put your spiritual ears on your head, please. It says God, names and titles of. Now I want you to pay attention to the double talk. This is really what we want to see. It says the 5 Old Testament Hebrew terms are of basic importance and in discussion various simple and compound names. I'm reading it slow for a reason so you can catch it. Compound names and titles of God in the Old Testament, just as in Canaanite religious literature. Just as in Canaanite religious literature, synonyms, divine names often occur for the same deity. So that means any deity, right? It means any deity. As well as appellations used in parallelism in poetry. In no inferences, says no inferences of polytheism can be drawn from such usage. What in the double talk is that? What in the double talk is that? Do you realize what this just said? Do you realize what Wycliffe just said? Let's look at it. Let's keep going. Then it says what? No inferences of polytheism can be drawn. But you just told me about Canaanite religious literature previously. But we know the Canaanites for a pantheon. What is a pantheon? Google it. Google it right now. Google it right now. What is a pantheon? I want you to Google it right now. What is a pantheon? And does it give you a polytheistic definition? I want you to look that up right now so you can follow along with what I'm trying to show you. Right? And it says what? Let's continue. It says no inferences of polytheism can be drawn from such usage, for the significance in biblical times, of the concept of name, which name means reputation, all of these different components, fame, reputation, something that comes with the name, right? Because behind the name is a reputation, okay? Then it says the first one, it says El. 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 The Hebrew word El, which has cognate forms in other Semitic languages. Come on, bro. Has cognate forms in other Semitic languages, signifies the strong one, a mighty being or leader, a god in the widest sense. My nigga, my Negroes, my ninjas, do you not see what the heck is going on here? Can you not see? Let's see what this Greek dictionary says, because we got to make sense of it, right? It says this is 1140. This is Damian Mian. It says a demonic being, by extension, a deity, bruh, you don't see it? You don't see it. Let's go back. It says a demonic being. This is Damian Mian. This is 1140. This is Greek word 1140. It says by extension, A deity. A deity. Let's go back to the Bible. Let's go back to the Bible dictionary. So we just looked at the Greek dictionary and we're trying to line it up with what's being said over here in this dictionary. It says a deity. So that means any deity. And we can see the same thing with Hebrew word 410. Let's go to it. Because we can't just say these things, we got to prove it. He said, prove all things. So let's prove it, okay? Is that word 40? Yeah, it's word 410. No, actually, yeah, no, it is word 410. It says El. Uh-oh, here goes this being again. And then we're going to figure out who El is from the Canaanite pantheon perspective, right? I'm going to give you that in a second. Hold on. Stay with me now. It says El, short, from 352. Strength, as adjective, mighty, but used also of any deity. Huh? So is the Hebrew not confirming the Greek in that aspect? And is this Bible dictionary not the first witness? But we have a second witness and a third witness by just looking at the language, looking at the definition of the Hebrew and Greek languages on what they considered God or a God, right? Now, let's go back to this Bible dictionary. It says El, the Hebrew word, which was a borrowed word, that was a loan word, okay? We have a history of borrowing words from other cultures and other peoples and making those words fit our faith, making those words fit inside the Israelite culture. We have a very extensive history of that. Look at all the captivities. Go back and look at all the captivities and what we came out of those captivities with as far as practice. Then it says what? It says which has cognate forms in other Semitic languages. Signifies the strong one, a mighty being or leader, a God in the widest sense, whether true, ain't no true God. We see that. Ain't no the true demon, true devil. Oh, okay. It says whether true or false, like theos. That's the root word in the word theology. So theology is literally the study of theos, which we know theos is El. And we see that El is applied to any deity. There's no specific deity. So this is the unknown God that Yahawah was talking about. Now we see why the Messiah went up on top of that hill. I hope you see it. Because he's showing you that ain't it. What did he tell the lady at the well? You do not know what you worship. We know what we worship. For salvation is from us. Is from us. So if we know what we worship, no one can come along and tell us otherwise. Because the revelation was given to my people. The true bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not those fake imposter people. The 48ers. Not them. These melanated Hebrew Israelites. It says, like Theos, Deus, wait, isn't that Latin? So why is it comparing Theos, Deus, and God to Al, which is in the Israeli El, but the ancient Hebrew is Al. So if the ancient Hebrew, let's do this. So if the ancient Hebrew word for God is al, is this word here, okay? Which we know this word here is a root word. This is a primitive root word. So if this is a primitive root word, isn't this primitive root word still seen here? Because you can see it in its first two letters here. So this primitive root from Hebrew ended up here. Watch this. Because this is going to be the icing on the cake. This is the nail in the coffin. Okay? It says like Theos, Deus, and God. It is the generic term for the Most High. I ain't say it. The Bible dictionary just said it. And there's multiple other Bible dictionaries that attest to what this is saying. He says, steady to show thyself approved. That means everything that has to do with the text. We are not limited to just the Holy Scriptures. Even though the Holy Scriptures are the final authority. But we got to go get the proof. We got to go get the evidence. Because it's not in one place. It's all over. It's all over. It's here a little and it's there a little. Now we can rightly divide the word of truth when we do things like this. We can rightly divide it now. He says, rightly divide the word of truth. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's look at this. Because I don't know. I don't think you see it yet. I don't think you really see it yet. Okay? Watch this. That's where we gonna go right there. Yep. Gonna go back here. Okay. Watch this. This is Corinthians. This is Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9. And pay attention to what he says here. This is Shawwal speaking. He's speaking to the called out ones, which are the saints, the Hebrew Israelites that have been scattered, who are from the northern kingdom. This is who he's talking to. He said, do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of Yahawah? Do not deceive yourselves. Neither fornicators, nor God worshippers, the worshippers of Allah Hayam, nor adulterers, nor men who commit sexual perversions with boys, Pope, Vatican, who commit sexual perversions with boys, nor commit sexual perversions with men, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners will inherit the kingdom of Yahawah. Okay? Let's go. Let's go somewhere else because I still don't think you're seeing it. Okay? Right here. Where is it? Okay. And this is highly important. This is first Yahachanan. Okay? This is a relative of the Messiah saying this. a literal relative of the Messiah, blood relative. He's saying, beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from, whether they are of, whether they are sent by Yahawah. Because many false prophets have gone out into the world. Because many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you will know the spirit of Yahawah. Every spirit that confesses Yahawah Shai HaMashiach started in the flesh is of Yahawah. And every spirit that does not confess Yahawah Shai HaMashiach started in the flesh is not of Yahawah. So this is the spirit of Lamashiach, or anti-Messiah, which you heard was coming and is now already in the world. So in his time, it was already there. In his time, it was already there. This anti-Messiah spirit is among the house of Israel. It's not an entity. It's not separate from the house of Israel. It's not separate. These are the Israelites who did not believe in the Messiah. Just like there are many others who don't believe in the Messiah. Not truly. Then it says what? It says, so the spirit of the anti-Messiah, which you heard was coming, is now already in the world. You are of Yahawah, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. They are of the world, therefore they speak of this world. And the world hears them. We are of Yahawah. He who knows Yahawah hears us. He who is not of Yahawah does not hear us. By these we can know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. By these we can know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. So that means there's two active spirits in this world, and they are both in conflict with each other. They're both in conflict with each other. Excuse me. But I also want to draw your attention to the second letter of Yahakanan, the relative of the Messiah. What did he say? He said, this is in verse 7. He said, many deceivers have gone out into the world who do not confess Yahawah Shai HaMashiach, having begun in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an anti-Messiah. This is a deceiver and an anti-Messiah. Let's look at something else that precepts that. Let's look at something that precepts that, right? And let's go to the book of Revelation, okay? And I really want to draw your attention to this passage right here. This is chapter 21, and we're gonna go down to verse 21. So 21, 21, and it says, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each individual gate was of a pearl, was of one pearl. And the street of the city were pure gold. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were, transparent as glass. And I saw no pagan, God worshiping, Allahayam worshiping sanctuary in it, for the house of Yahawah, the body of Mashayak, was in it. Now hold on, because I want you to see that I'm not making this up. I want you to see that that's actually written there. Okay, right here. Right here it says that. You see it? You see it? Okay. It says no God worshiping, no pagan, Allahayam worshiping sanctuary in it. This produces a huge issue in people's theology. This produces a huge. This is a huge issue in people's theology. The science and study of theos, which is El. The science and study of all. The science and study of the God, the deity. What did the Greek say? I believe the Greek said of any deity, and I believe the Hebrew doubled down on that, saying, but also used of any deity. Used of any deity. But it's funny because in the Hebrew word 410, we also see the word idol here. It says a great idol. Great idol. So if you know, like I know, then you know an idol is a god. Which is the god of this world, blinded the minds of those who do not believe. Okay? Now I want to go back. Let's pull this script right here. Let's pull this script. This is Corinthians. This is 1 Corinthians. Okay. This is 1 Corinthians. This is 18. 1 Corinthians 3 and 18. We're going to start at 18. What time is it? Okay. I'm in with this. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you thinks he is wise by the standards of this world, let him become a fool that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Yahawah. For it is written, he catches the wise in their own craftiness. And again, Yahawah knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are vanity, empty, of short duration, to lead astray. So then, let no one boast in a man. Muhammad. for all things of yours. For all things of yours. And we're going to end it there. I hope that this teaching, that this message was able to help you identify who the Most High is and who the Most High isn't. Because there are some who will tell you that the Most High doesn't have a name, that he's formless, that he's just gas floating around, he transcended gender and all these crazy things. But now you know, by this video being the confirmation that what he spoke to our forefathers is true. Shalom.